Hello, viewers. Today is Friday, July 4th, 2025. Today we are going to discuss about the first 3 days of play of the test match between India and England that is being played at Birmingham. And we have with us Mr. S.N. Sukumar, as usual, to discuss about the first 3 days worth of play. So before I go to Sukumar, I just will summarize. India batted first after England asked India to bat first. England won the toss, and in the first innings, India scored 587 runs, basically due to a huge double century by Shubman Gill and ably supported by Jadeja and Yashasvi Jaiswal. So India finished with 587, and then England started their batting, and they started rather disastrously, I would say. They lost 5 wickets for around 83, 84 runs, and then they had a huge partnership between Jamie Smith and Harry Brooks. They took them over to around 407 runs, and they got all out at around 407 runs. And now India in reply, they're around 69 for 1 at the end of the third day's play. That's where we stand right now. I still feel that this juncture, India has a slight advantage, but I still feel like this match can still go either way, depending on how the fourth day's play pans out. So that said, let me go to Mr. S.N. Sukumar. Welcome back, Mr. S.N. Sukumar. Why don't you go ahead and share your thoughts on the first 3 days worth of play, and then we can take it from there.
The first 3 days play was actually, as of now, as you said, it is very slightly in favor of India because India can always dictate terms when we bat deep in the fourth day. The two sessions, if we bat, I think we will be able to score around 250 to 270 runs. We already are about 244 runs lead. So that what I feel is if we could squeeze the time and then make them bat for less overs for them getting more runs, then they will be in trouble. That is what I understand. If we are going to declare, that is last time when we reached this match, we actually got all out. That is late order batter did not contribute much.
Yeah.
Now that I expect Indian team to get more runs, then they bat deep in the batting, so that we can dictate. That is, if we could declare somewhere close to 1 hour close to the close of play with about 520 runs, because they have a very good reputation of chasing runs in the placing wicket, and then our bowlers also not got good enough to even contain. That is, if they are going to murderously smash our bowling, especially bowlers number 4, 3, 4, 5, they are really playing at the rate of around 5 to 6 runs. So with all these happenings in the first 3 days, I think maybe we should give a very calculated target with less number of overs to be bowled. Something around 100, 105 overs, not more than that.
Yeah, so let's look at the match in detail now. We have a feel for exactly what happened in those first 3 days, but let's go with right from the team composition. India dropped, basically they didn't drop Bumrah, but they rested Bumrah and they dropped Sai Sudarshan and Shardul Thakur. So they replaced Bumrah with Akash Deep, which I think was a good decision because he was a seam bowler. Everybody thought Ashdeep Singh will get the nod, but they went with Akash Deep, which was a good decision. Then they went with Washington Sundar instead of Shardul Thakur. Or you can always say that they went with Nitish Kumar Reddy for Shardul Thakur, and they went with Washington Sundar for Sai Sudarshan. But I think the first replacement for Bumrah, Akashdeep, that's a good one. And when they replaced Shardul Thakur with Nitish Kumar Reddy, that also is okay in my view. But I felt it was very unfortunate for them to have looked at Washington Sundar in place of Sai Sudarshan. Yes, Sundar did play very well and scored 40 odd runs, but it is very unfortunate that here was a debutant who played the first test match at Leeds, and he was like shaping up pretty well for around 30 odd runs, 30 runs in the second innings. You didn't give him a chance because that will definitely be very difficult for Sai Sudarshan to digest because he's an youngster and having his debut and did reasonably well, I would say, in the second innings. But that will definitely hurt his confidence. I don't think it is good in terms of this team management decision to bring somebody in and give him just one test match. What do you think about that? That decision, I think, is not a very good decision at all.
So definitely, Suresh, the decision of dropping youngster, the two, as you said, he was shaping very well in the second innings. To top him, and he's very, very harsh in the sense. But the India team actually can just manage because you are playing a number six batter with a batting all rounder, and then following with two more from batting all rounders. The conditions prevailing there, so it is almost 6, 7, 8 all batting all rounders. Fortunately for the sunny conditions, we actually managed in the sense, but it cannot be a continuous feature in the coming test matches. And definitely that at least number six, the batter should have been played. This is not our my view at all. And many of the experts on ex-cricketers are also viewed the same. But having having said this, Indian team actually as a whole has fared really reasonably well in the first 3 days of the test match.
Yeah, they have done very well. I'm not worried about what they did. I'm looking at it from a pure cricketing angle. Let's not worry about the performances. I mean, so we will go in depth about how they bowled, because that I also have some issues with the way that they bowled as well. But generally, if you look at it, we are not going with just because lower order scored close to around 350 runs in this test match doesn't necessarily mean it was the right decision. First, you are just basically shattering the confidence of an youngster who had his debut. You could have very easily dropped Karun Nair because he's only uh, coming back to the test team. You could have preferred the debutant and given him one more chance, at least one more chance. And I think that's what I felt. I mean, he could have played instead of Karun Nair. And then coming back to the batting, Shubman Gill did an excellent job. He scored a big double hundred. All is good. But still, I feel there he should have come at number three. He should not have exposed Karun Nair at number three. In the first test match, I told you Sai Sudarshan should have played little lower in the order. Shubman Gill should have just come out and led from the front and played at number three. So I don't know why, just because he scored 100, I'm not just going to blindly say that it's great. He should have played at number three, irrespective of his score. What do you think?
Maybe to have the team balance, yes, given the number four spot by the team management, I believe. And I think because you have two newcomers, then even now it is two newcomers, and one you have already dropped, and another one is he's playing second test match after a very long time. But what they thought was he could handle the number three position better than Washington. There is Sai Sudarshan, so they thought they could actually promote Karun Nair up number three. So that I think he did a reasonable job in the prevailing banding conditions. So that was a team thinking, and then hope if Sai Susan gets another chance in the coming 3 this matches to follow.
No, no. What I'm trying to say is Shubman Gill is an opener and he has played at number three for India. There is no reason for him to drop to number four. So people will just say, oh, he scored 267, he's the next superstar, next Kohli and all that. He is a great batsman, but you should lead from the front. Play at number three. You're an opener. Play at number three. Give some chances like Karun Nair to come back lower in the order so that he can get the confidence back. He is coming back from a long time, actually, probably 6, 7 years, I think. So anyway, India did bat well. Of course, Shubman Gill batted very well. And then Yashasvi Jaiswal, again, one person that has been very consistent abroad is this opener, Yashasvi Jaiswal. I think he's really done very well. He's continuing to impress. And that's a very good sign for the Indian cricket in terms of the opening. Then we had Jadeja, who played reasonably well. At that time, we were kind of little shaky. India was like around 180 odd with 5 wickets gone, I think. So he played reasonably well, So India scored close to around 580 odd runs. But let's come to the bowling. I mean, so we did bowl reasonably well. India did bowl reasonably well with the new ball. But we should also look at the English batsmen. They just gifted away their wickets. I mean, they were just poking the ball going outside the off stump, and they didn't know where their off stump were. And then Joe Root again had a unforced error. So I don't think, except for Ben Stokes, who got a very good delivery from Siraj, England batting was not that good at the end of day two, as well as in the first half an hour or 45 minutes of day three. What do you think?
Suresh, in this placed conditions, bowler's weapon is just to shine on the movement, slight movement. It will be there around up to 30 overs, 30 to 30 overs. It will be there. So these things actually in this period only the Indian bowlers did well. And one thing to be mentioned here is our slip catching. Slip catching was very good to start with. We didn't drop many catches, though one was dropped, but that doesn't matter. But even the second new ball, we bowled really well. The sense we were making the ball tilt in, so that there were two elbow shouts and then one caught in the slips. There is one more or one straight and that. So the summary is actually, as far as the bowler's point of view is, whenever the shine is there, they had some help and then they were also bowling well. This is the same story even for the English bowlers. And the moment the shine gone, in between overs, from about 35 to about 80, both the teams struggled. And then we were actually leather hunted by Jamie Smith, who actually smashed us for all over.
No, but that could be true. But also, do you think that India became too defensive? You have 580 runs on the board, and England were at 84, 83, 84 for 5. So when Jadeja was bowling, we had only one slip. Okay, and then we had in outfield. I mean, we have one slip, and then you have 3-4 people manning the boundaries, and then 3 people on the inner circle. They were either scoring boundaries or they are easily getting singles. You had 580 runs on your board. If you can't apply pressure with a silly point or a forward short leg and a slip with 580 runs on the board, when are you ever going to do that?
Suresh, the slip catching and all those closing fielding all will come into play whenever you have some momentum carried forward. But we didn't have any momentum when there is for spinners were bowling. Even Washington were bowling, just a one slip, all the boundary riders.
No,
Because
that is because
smashing us all
what
over.
I'm trying to say is when Jadeja bowled the first over well before lunch, they were still at around 130 or something for 5. So we still had you still had around 450 runs on the bank. When you have still 450 runs on the bank, if you can't apply pressure by putting a silly point, forward short leg, and a slip, and let them score 4-5 boundaries, or even anyway they're scoring 4-5 boundaries, even if you had people on the boundary. So why can't you just apply pressure?
So applying pressure is only through making dot balls. That was not happening, Suresh. Actually, the rate at which the English batsman scored was around 67 runs per over. So with 4 or 5 fielders on the boundary.
The reason there are no dot balls is because you had an in-out field. So you had 4 people on the boundary. So there were you didn't have pressure on the ring. I mean, you didn't have people on the ring stopping the singles. You had 4 people on the fence. So what is the point? When you have 480 runs, 450 runs still on your bank, why do you need a long off and long on? I would play with mid on and mid off. Let him go over the top. How many times you will go over the top? Let him go 4 times, 5 times. Let him go over the top. Right? Then you stop the single. Then you apply pressure by keeping silly point, forward shot leg. But it never happened. I think this has been the trend, not just for the Indian team per se, but overall in global cricket. They have runs on the board, but they still don't want to apply pressure. And I don't understand that concept actually, because you have to have people on the ring, stop the singles, then they will be forced to go over the top. Especially the English batsmen, they don't want to just play defensively. They want to go for the shots. And you want to encourage them to go for the shots by bringing everybody in.
Suresh, actually, our bowlers, the sense Indian bowlers, whoever bowls after the top 2, they find it very difficult to even put a couple of dot balls per over. They were finding because due to the place in batting conditions, and also nowadays even a good ball on the stumps, it's quite reverse squat or reverse scooped. So many shots are coming into play. They don't play with the vertical batting anymore. There is back to the bowler or playing mid on. They will sweep you or scoop you. So in these the two shots, it really makes the bowler, especially the slow bowlers, to bowl to the desired that is the field. That is the problem.
But you will never know unless you try.
Uh,
You will
trying
never know
means
unless you try, because you had
yeah,
580 runs on the
that's
board.
a
This
logic
is
I
the best
accept.
time to try, right? You have 580 runs on the board. Jadeja generally bowls wicket to wicket, right? You have LBW coming into the picture. You have back pad coming into the picture. Yes, they can score runs. I'm definitely agreeing with you. But if you have people manning the circle, right, stopping the singles, and you have 3 people in the catching position, I would say let them go for the shots, but because you have runs on the bank, and that's what I would have done. As a, if I was controlling the situation there, I would have said for 5 overs I'm going to give Jadeja to bowl on the stumps, wicket to wicket, with the fielders in, and let them go for the shots. Well, they can miss one ball. They can miss one ball under pressure, right? They can miss one.
Suresh, actually, we are not going for that because if that is going to happen, they would have played. He should have played Kuldeep because he's a complete bowler. There is wrist spinner. He can do a bat chance. But with batting all rounding part time, I will not say part time, but the condition does not allow them to have a even single or two dot balls per over. That is the beauty of this place in wicket, and it is well known. Already around 1,000 runs have been scored in the 3 days here. Then how can you blame our slow bowlers? This is the same for even
I'm not blaming slow bowlers. I am blaming the mentality of the cricketing captains now, where they are not willing to give the bowler some additional help in terms of catching close-in fielders and applying pressure when you have close to 600 runs. I mean, that's a lot of runs for you, and you let the match slightly go away from you during that partnership. And I would have done slightly differently in the sense I would have asked Jadeja to bowl a little bit slower, and I would have asked him to bowl wicket to wicket, but slower. But I also would have asked him to basically make the slip silly point and forward shot leg come into the picture. Even if it is slow, if it is turning very slowly, it doesn't matter. At least apply some pressure and ask him to go over the top. I mean, have everybody inside and ask him to go over the top. They will miss one. I mean, this is how it has happened before, right? If you have pressure and you want to go over the top, you can't do that all the time. You will lose. I mean, you lose your concentration, you'll step out and you might miss. They could have tried for 5 overs. They could have tried for 5 overs, not 5 overs of Jadeja. You know, I'm not talking about Washington Sundar, because Washington Sundar, in my view, also bowled very negative line, in my view, because he didn't bowl. First 2 overs, there was some drift and he was looking better, but after that, he bowled very negative line. I didn't like that middle leg going around the wickets and bowling the middle leg line and off spinner. How are you going to take a wicket?
See, the bowling middle line is only a restrictive line because they are not able to bowl outside the outside. Because when you bowl outside the outside, he is being smashed, driven, cut, even lofted over mid off, long off. So these things happen. Only when you bowl, there is middle line, there is a chance of hitting. If you play across, if you play straight, you will always get singles or twos. Then that is okay. That is the situation then. The point at which Washington Sundar Jadeja bowling, they were literally hammered. That is the fact. We should actually put our viewers into into the information.
So one more thing about the bowling. Okay, there is no point in bowling short balls under English conditions with Prasidh Krishna's pace. I do not understand what the bowling coach is doing. You might have gotten Harry Brook and Jamie Smith once each in the prior test match, but if you bowl short balls repeatedly, you are going to see boundaries. And I don't understand why. At least after lunch, they realized that you can't get them out by short balls. At least they started bowling wide outside the off stump. But I don't know what the bowling coaches were doing. They basically let the momentum slip away during that period where they bowled short balls. And with Prasidh Krishna's pace, you can never bowl short balls. That too in England, it sits up very nicely and it's bound to be hit. And I don't know why they followed that. For the second test in succession, they followed the strategy. What do you think about that?
That is because earlier in leagues they have the success, success of both the batsmen getting caught in the deep. But what the commentators say in education is squares are a bit shorter compared to leagues. So in fact, if it is going to be hit, it will be into the stands. That is why we actually altered that. But there is no other strategy we could imply. When we bowl up, it is being driven very nicely to all parts of the ground. So that is a try, but that was a very, very costly over. As you said, it changed the momentum from one-day cricket style to the T20 cricket style, hammering about four boundaries on 1-6 and 23 runs on Toto, completely changed the complexion of the game.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. At least when you have 2 4s in that over, or 1 6 and 1 4, or another 4, you just have to try to at least pitch it up or do something like, wide outside the off stump or something like that to just control the tempo. Instead, you just double down on it. And it was so, I mean,
Exactly.
with 3 people on the leg side, it was so predictable that you're going to bowl short. And it's so I don't know, it's so immaturish. I think I think that was a very bad decision, whether it was the captain or the team coach or the bowler deciding to bowl short, that too to Brook and Jamie Smith. I think it was a bad decision. But nevertheless, let's come back to the fourth day's play. I think the fourth day's play, the first 2 overs are going to be crucial. If India doesn't lose more than 2 wickets, as you said, they can play up until T or something like that and score close to another 220, 230 runs from the 60 odd runs that they have now, and basically give them an hour before the close of play and ask them to bat. That is provided if they bat well. If they do not bat well, then I think we do not know what kind of target England will be chasing. So, what do you think about the possibilities for day 4?
See, possibilities, as you said, the first session should be that is played with a minimum of 1 wicket or one cup match, maybe two. But they are going to bowl only about 27 overs. It's going to be around 4.5. We'll be scoring around 100 runs. Then you can always consolidate in the second session, which is very nice for batters to consolidate. So with these 2 sessions, we will know where we are. And then if we go to be, there is a nice position using about 4 or 5 wickets at T. Then we can go for an all-out in a couple of 1 hour batting. And then we should make the bat this evening with about 15 overs to for England to play. The score could be around 470 to 500. That should be the target. But beyond that, it's okay. Fine, we always accept that. But below that, but you should give him very less time, as I already told these viewers. We should give him less time so that let them go for a target. That is chasing the kings they are. So that way we should determine the fourth and fifth day's play.
Okay, so I will take that as your final thoughts for the first these 3 days play, and then let's look forward to the fourth day's play. And thank you very much for joining, Mr. Sukumar. Viewers, will come back to you with another episode shortly. Till then, take care.